So I'm reading this book by Robert Kiyosaki, Why the Rich Are Getting Richer. What is financial education really? One of the things I do besides fitness is research personal finance topics, utilizing some of my college degree. There's one paragraph in here, and I'm just going to read it. If a person who works for money wants more money, an enterprising engineer will create a robot or software or artificial intelligence to replace the worker. Robots do not need benefits or time off and will work 24/7. Now, I know that's a popular notion. That's the way we think the world is going. But that last sentence is not true entirely. Obviously, a machine needs maintenance. You always can make a more efficient machine, but you got to shut it off. It'll overheat. We don't have technology that good yet. Granted, it's more efficient than a human, but I don't think we're at the level, and someone can correct me if we're wrong, that a machine can run for 24/7 without ever shutting it off. At some point, a human is needed to do maintenance. And even if you had a machine to do the maintenance, a machine to do maintenance on another machine, well, who's doing maintenance on the maintenance-giving machine? I think it all will dial back to a human at some point. And I'm not a technology expert, but the other thing they say here is jobs move to lower-wage countries. Since the rich own factories, they get richer when they can hire lower-wage employees. I think there's something to be said for the fact of having your own business, because everyone, it's a popular thing to talk about being paid fairly. You know, the average worker to be paid fairly. And on the one hand, you have the argument of, well, the business owners make the profit because they take on the most risk. They are the risk bearers, and therefore with greater risk comes greater return. So of course, the employee who does not bear the risk of the business, just really the risk of their job, obviously they get paid an hourly wage because the business has to cut a profit. But I think if overall the amount of people who choose to be employees, if a percentage of that population, maybe 10, 20, 30% of that population that chooses to be an employee of that factory, let's say they quit to start their own business or to work a different job, now all of a sudden the factory needs to hire people. Maybe they need to raise the pay of that position because the supply of workers went down. They need to create more demand for more desire to have that position. So that's how really it all works. This is why it's good to read these books. I never read these books in high school, but after, getting the college degree, working the corporate job, losing the corporate job, and, getting time during COVID. I had a lot of time during COVID, time off to look at how companies worked. And it helped that I had an accounting degree, worked on these reports to kind of look and see how companies operate. I am able to look at this information with a different lens, with a different perspective. And I may not have the whole perspective. Like I said, with these things, things like technology. Like I just said, you have to shut a machine off eventually, or you have to give maintenance to it eventually. And there's always a human doing that work eventually. And this whole statement of the rich getting richer. And I think when people hear that, who aren't rich by some standard, they have a feeling of you're missing out, or you're jealous, or man, what can I do? But really, I think what you should train to be thinking of is, well, if there's a population of people with a bunch of money, and I say money carefully because There's been a lot of so-called money printing, or I like to say money typing, because people are typing numbers into people's bank accounts. Is just look at those people as potential customers. Like, how can you work for those people, and then how can you possibly sell products and services to people who are rich? Just look at it from an abundance mindset rather than a me versus you mindset. I mean, I think popular media wants to create this, mainstream media wants to create this perception of like the ultra rich are hoarding the wealth. But if you look at people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, other rich people, like, you can look up what they're investing their money in. It's public knowledge. Like, they're not necessarily hoarding the money, but you should look at how these individuals are moving. Look at their moves they're making. Honestly, I think if you want to learn about the world in a very data-based way and not get overly emotional, especially because I'm kind of touching on the subject of investing, is like, read the annual report of Apple, read the annual report of Nike, read the annual report of some company that you really like, that you buy products from. Like, how many times do you buy products from a company and you may not even use the product very much? I can't think of an example, but I mean, really, Apple, like an Apple phone I use every day. It's a good company. But how often do you waste your time on Facebook and Instagram scrolling through, reels, hours on end? Someone sent me a reel. People friggin' stop sending me reels. But someone sent me a reel, and just 1 30-second reel. I ended up spending 30 minutes just getting all these little unrelated pieces of entertainment. And then by the time I'm done with 30 minutes, my brain is shot. Like, I can't even think anymore. I really try to avoid those reels. But do I invest in Facebook? Yes, I do. Because I'm looking at the grander scheme of things. Like the metaverse, for example. The metaverse is amazing. Do I think we need to plug every human being into it and be like the Matrix? No, I definitely don't. But I believe in the metaverse from a business standpoint. It's going to make businesses way more efficient. People will be able to have their in-person meetings literally and feel in person one day. I truly think that. Just like a video game. It'll be like Star Wars when the Jedis sit in that table and you have holograms and it's just like they're there. So anyways, I'm digging deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole of information, but I just want to drive home the point, especially since I just got done, speaking at this high school business conference for future business leaders of America, and I'm kind of talking to myself, because I'm talking to my high school self, like what I would have liked to have known. And it's okay to buy like material things, but if there was a massive shift from people buying these material things that they don't necessarily need to buying things only that they do need, that consumer shift in mindset will force these large companies to then come up with new ways to be profitable. So it's this constant ebb and flow of, the CEOs are trying to get paid, but they're, and then they need to pay their workers, they need to pay everyone down the line. It's a massively complicated thing to try to fathom, but you can look at yourself as a corporation or business. If you want to build your wealth, what things are you buying? Are you buying things that are going to appreciate in value one day, or are they just going to take up space? I have so much stuff that takes up space, but I've gotten better over the years. I know other people have the same issue. And I think that's about all I'm going to say. So have a good day.